They called her Ghost, not because she was dead, but because she had vanished so completely from the world that even her own government believed she didn't exist anymore. Former Marine Corps Scout Sniper Staff Sergeant Alexis Phantom Rodriguez had been erased from all official records 4 years ago, living in complete isolation in the remote wilderness of the Cascade Mountains in Washington state, after a classified mission in Syria went catastrophically wrong and left her branded as a traitor who had allegedly sold out American forces to enemy combatants. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. When 18 Navy SEALs from SEAL Team 12 found themselves pinned down and systematically eliminated by over 200 heavily armed insurgents in the treacherous terrain of the Kandahar Valley in Afghanistan, every available sniper within a 500-mile radius was either already deployed, wounded in previous engagements, or completely cut off by the same coordinated enemy offensive that had trapped the SEALs in what military strategists would later call the most sophisticated ambush in modern warfare history. That's when a desperate communications officer remembered fragmented intelligence reports about a disgraced female Marine sniper who had supposedly died in a Syrian prison 4 years earlier, but whose body had never been recovered and whose alleged betrayal had never been fully proven despite the court-martial proceedings that had officially ended her existence in the eyes of the United States military. What happened next took exactly 6 hours and 34 minutes, involving 73 impossibly precise shots fired from positions that military engineers had calculated were mathematically impossible to reach alive, changing forever how the Pentagon understood mountain warfare tactics and forcing a complete reevaluation of everything they thought they knew about long-range precision shooting in hostile territory. Before we dive deeper into this incredible story, tell us where you're watching from in the comments below. And if this story captivates you the way it captivated us when we first discovered these classified documents, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because tomorrow we've prepared something even more extraordinary that will challenge everything you believe about courage under impossible circumstances. The morning mist clung to the pine forests of Mount Rainier National Park like a shroud, obscuring the small cabin that sat perched on a rocky outcropping 7,800 feet above sea level, where Alexis Rodriguez had spent the last 1,461 days trying to forget that she had once been considered the most lethal precision marksman in the entire United States Marine Corps. At 31 years old, she possessed the lean, predatory build of someone who had survived in conditions that would have broken weaker souls. Her jet black hair now grown past her shoulders and streaked with premature silver that reflected 4 years of living with the kind of psychological trauma that comes from being hunted by both enemies and allies. The cabin itself was a masterpiece of tactical positioning, built into the mountainside with 3 separate escape routes, overlapping fields of observation that covered every possible approach, and enough stored supplies to survive completely independent of civilization for up to 8 months without resupply. Rodriguez had chosen this location not for its scenic beauty or recreational opportunities, but because it represented the perfect intersection of concealment, tactical advantage, and proximity to resources, while remaining far enough from major population centers that even the most determined search teams would require weeks of systematic effort to locate her position. Her daily routine had become as precise and methodical as the shooting techniques that had once made her legendary among Marine reconnaissance units operating in the most dangerous regions of Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. Each morning began with a 45-minute physical conditioning session that maintained the cardiovascular endurance and muscular strength necessary for mountain survival, followed by equipment maintenance that ensured her Barrett M107 1.50 caliber rifle remained in perfect operational condition, despite never having been fired at a human target in over 4 Years. The rifle itself represented both her greatest skill and her deepest shame, a precision instrument capable of eliminating targets at distances exceeding 2,000 meters, equipped with advanced optics that could resolve human features with clarity that made killing feel disturbingly personal. During her active service, Rodriguez had recorded 127 confirmed kills across 3 combat deployments, each one a masterpiece of mathematical calculation and steady nerves that had saved countless American lives by eliminating high-value targets who posed immediate threats to ongoing operations. But professional competence had become personal. Tragedy on a rain-soaked morning in Aleppo, Syria, when intelligence officers had provided her with targeting coordinates for what they claimed was a meeting of senior terrorist commanders planning attacks against American installations throughout the region. The shot had been perfect to 1,847 meters through difficult crosswinds, eliminating the primary target with precision that her spotter had called supernatural in his after-action report, except the target had been Colonel James Mitchell, a decorated Army intelligence officer conducting a clandestine meeting with Syrian opposition leaders who were providing crucial information about terrorist networks operating throughout the region. Rodriguez's successful completion of her assigned mission had eliminated a key intelligence asset and compromised an ongoing operation that had taken 3 years to establish, resulting in the capture and execution of dozens of Syrian civilians who had been secretly cooperating with American forces. The subsequent investigation had painted Rodriguez as a double agent who had deliberately targeted American personnel in exchange for payments from hostile intelligence services. The classified evidence against her had been overwhelming. Financial transfers to offshore accounts bearing her identification, intercepted communications between her and known enemy agents, and testimony from captured insurgents who claimed she had been providing targeting information that had resulted in successful attacks against American convoys and installations. Rodriguez's protests of innocence had been dismissed as desperate lies from a traitor facing execution for treason. Her claims that the financial transfers had been fabricated, the communications had been forged, and the insurgent testimony had been coerced through torture, had fallen on deaf ears among military prosecutors who needed a scapegoat for intelligence failures that had cost dozens of American lives and millions of dollars in compromised operations. The truth, which would not emerge until years later through classified documents leaked by conscience-stricken intelligence analysts, was that Rodriguez had been deliberately set up by a network of corrupt military contractors who had been selling American tactical information to the highest bidders while using patriotic American service members as convenient scapegoats when their activities attracted unwanted attention from military investigators. But on the day of her scheduled court-martial, Rodriguez had simply vanished from military custody during a carefully planned prison transport that had been ambushed by unknown personnel who had eliminated her guards and spirited her away to safety, leaving behind a burned-out vehicle and enough blood evidence to convince investigators that she had been executed by her foreign handlers to prevent her from revealing sensitive information during her trial. The military had been perfectly happy to let the world believe that the traitorous Marine sniper had received the justice she deserved from her criminal associates, closing the case and filing away the classified documents that contained uncomfortable questions about intelligence failures and institutional corruption that nobody in the Pentagon wanted to answer publicly. Rodriguez had effectively ceased to exist in any official capacity, her service records sealed, and her family informed that she had died serving her country in classified operations that could never be acknowledged publicly. For 4 years, she had lived as a ghost, surviving on disability payments from a military service that officially claimed she had never existed, while developing the wilderness survival skills and psychological resilience necessary to maintain complete isolation from a world that had betrayed her trust and destroyed everything she had once believed about honor, duty, and service to country. the satellite phone that connected her to the outside world had remained silent for 847 consecutive days, a reminder of relationships and responsibilities that belonged to her previous life as a Marine warrior who had believed that following orders and serving with distinction would be enough to ensure fair treatment from the institution she had sworn to defend with her life. But on this particular morning, as autumn mist swirled around the peaks that had become both her prison and her sanctuary, that phone would ring with a desperation that would force Alexis Rodriguez to choose between the safety of continued anonymity and the moral obligation to save American lives that were being systematically eliminated by an enemy who had learned to exploit every weakness in conventional military tactics. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. The harsh buzzing of the satellite phone shattered the mountain silence at exactly 0347 hours, a sound that Alexis Rodriguez hadn't heard in over 2 years. She bolted upright from her sleeping bag, instantly alert with the kind of combat readiness that 4 years of exile hadn't managed to erase from her nervous system. The phone's LED display showed an encrypted military frequency that she had assumed would remain silent forever. Through the cabin's reinforced windows, the first hints of dawn were beginning to illuminate the jagged peaks of the North Cascades, casting long shadows across the valley floor where morning mist clung to ancient evergreens like battlefield smoke. Rodriguez moved with practiced silence toward the communication equipment, her bare feet finding familiar paths across the cabin floor that she had memorized during countless nights when sleep remained elusive due to nightmares about Syrian villages and the faces of Americans who had died because of intelligence failures she had been blamed for causing. The voice that emerged from the encrypted channel carried the kind of desperate urgency that she remembered from the worst moments of her combat deployments, when American lives hung in the balance and conventional options had been exhausted. Any available sniper asset. This is Firebase Delta requesting immediate long-range precision support. We have multiple Navy SEAL elements trapped and taking heavy casualties in grid coordinates 34.2847 north, 65.1923 east. Repeat. American forces are being systematically eliminated and require immediate intervention from qualified marksmen. Rodriguez stared at the radio handset as if it were a venomous snake, understanding immediately that responding to this transmission would end 4 years of carefully maintained anonymity and expose her to the same government agencies that had branded her a traitor and attempted to execute her for crimes she had never committed. But the coordinates being broadcast corresponded to the Kandahar Valley region of Afghanistan, where she had conducted 3 successful deployments and knew the terrain better than most active duty personnel currently serving in that theater of operations. Firebase Delta. This is any station monitoring this frequency, came another voice, younger and more strained than the first. SEAL Team 12 Alpha Element has been pinned down for 6 hours by coordinated enemy fire from elevated positions. We count 18 American personnel trapped with limited ammunition and multiple casualties, requiring immediate medical evacuation. Weather conditions are preventing air support and nearest available ground reinforcements are minimum 8 hours out. The tactical situation crystallized in Rodriguez's mind with uncomfortable clarity. 80 Navy SEALs trapped in terrain that favored defensive operations, facing numerically superior forces that had demonstrated the patience and coordination necessary to maintain sustained contact for 6 hours without being dislodged by conventional countermeasures. This wasn't random insurgent activity, but professionally planned and executed ambush tactics designed specifically to eliminate American special operations capabilities. Rodriguez had studied the Kandahar Valley extensively during her active service, conducting reconnaissance missions that had mapped every ridgeline, cave system, and tactical advantage within a 50-kilometer radius of the coordinates being broadcast over the emergency frequency. The area represented a perfect natural amphitheater where skilled marksmen occupying elevated positions could maintain overlapping fields of fire against targets trapped in the valley floor, creating a tactical situation that conventional military doctrine would classify as unsurvivable without immediate intervention from supporting elements, but professional intervention would require official acknowledgement of her existence by the same military hierarchy that had attempted to execute her for treason, creating legal and operational complications that could result in her immediate arrest and imprisonment, regardless of any lives she might save, through tactical assistance. The woman who had once been Staff Sergeant Alexis Rodriguez no longer existed in any official capacity, making her involvement in active military operations technically impossible and certainly illegal. The emergency transmissions continued with increasing desperation as Firebase Delta attempted to coordinate relief efforts that were being complicated by weather conditions, enemy activity throughout the region, and the simple geographical reality that the Kandahar Valley represented one of the most tactically challenging environments in Afghanistan for conventional military operations. Each update painted a picture of systematic elimination that was proceeding exactly as enemy forces had planned, with American casualties mounting while defensive options diminished. Any sniper qualified for extreme long-range engagement. "We are requesting immediate assistance," transmitted a voice that belonged to someone young enough to be her younger brother, speaking with the controlled panic of warriors facing mortality for the first time. "Enemy forces are using coordinated fire from positions we cannot reach with available weapon systems. Our Overwatch elements have been eliminated and remaining personnel are running critically low on ammunition." Rodriguez moved through her cabin with mechanical precision, checking equipment that had remained maintained despite never being used for its intended purpose during 4 years of mountain exile. The Barrett M107A1 rifle received first attention, its .50 caliber capabilities representing the only weapon system potentially capable of engaging targets at the extreme ranges necessary to provide effective support for troops trapped in the Kandahar Valley from any conceivable firing position within the continental United States, but the tactical mathematics were impossible. Even if she could somehow transport herself and her equipment to Afghanistan without official military support, the time requirements would exceed the survival probability of 18 Navy SEALs facing professional opposition that possessed every tactical advantage except superior marksmanship at extreme range. The men requesting assistance would be dead long before she could reach effective firing positions, making any potential intervention meaningless regardless of her technical capabilities. The radio crackled with what would prove to be the transmission that changed everything. "This is Lieutenant Commander Jake Harrison, SEAL Team 12, calling any qualified personnel monitoring this frequency. My men are dying, and I need a miracle. If there's anyone out there with the skills to make impossible shots from impossible positions, we're at grid coordinates 34.2847 north, 65.1923 east, and we have maybe 2 hours before we're completely overrun." Rodriguez closed her eyes, recognizing something in Harrison's voice that reminded her of every American serviceman she had ever known who possessed the kind of quiet courage that marked professional warriors willing to die for teammates and mission completion. These were her people, Marines and Navy personnel who had volunteered for the most dangerous assignments their country could offer, now facing elimination by enemy forces that had learned to exploit every weakness in American tactical doctrine. The decision formed in her mind with the same instantaneous clarity that had characterized her best combat shooting, a moment of absolute conviction that transcended rational analysis of risks and consequences. 18 American warriors were going to die unless someone with her specific capabilities intervened, and she was the only person monitoring emergency frequencies who possessed both the technical skills and geographical knowledge necessary to provide the precision fire support that could change tactical balance in their favor. Rodriguez began systematic preparation for what would either be the most important mission of her military career or the final chapter in a story that had begun with betrayal and would end with redemption through service to fellow warriors who had never questioned her loyalty or professional competence. Equipment selection proceeded with mechanical efficiency born from years of combat experience, each piece chosen for specific tactical value while calculating weight restrictions and mobility requirements. The Barrett rifle would anchor her loadout, along with 40 rounds of match-grade .50 caliber ammunition, capable of eliminating human targets at distances exceeding 2,500 meters under optimal conditions. Advanced optics, range-finding equipment, weather monitoring instruments, and communication gear rounded out an equipment package that represented the absolute minimum necessary for precision shooting operations under combat conditions. But the most critical element of her preparation involved psychological readiness for re-entering a world that had branded her a traitor and attempted to execute her for crimes she had never committed. After 4 years of complete isolation, Rodriguez would need to function as both warrior and ghost, providing tactical support while remaining invisible to the same government agencies that would arrest her immediately if they discovered her involvement in active military operations. The decision to respond crystallized in Rodriguez's mind as she listened to another transmission reporting that SEAL Team 12's medic had been killed attempting to treat wounded personnel, leaving the survivors without medical support while enemy forces continued their systematic elimination from elevated positions. But accepting this mission meant confronting the events that had destroyed her military career and forced her into 4 years of exile that had been both punishment and protection from forces that had wanted her permanently silenced. It had begun on March 15, 2019, in the ancient city of Palmyra, Syria, where intelligence assets had identified what they claimed was a meeting of high-value targets representing multiple terrorist organizations coordinating attacks against American installations throughout the Middle East. The mission briefing had been classified at the highest levels, with targeting information provided by sources so sensitive that even Lieutenant Colonel Patricia Blackburn, Rodriguez's commanding officer, hadn't been given access to the complete intelligence package that justified the elimination order. The target complex was an abandoned Roman amphitheater on the outskirts of Palmyra, where satellite surveillance had identified regular meetings between individuals whose electronic signatures matched known terrorist commanders responsible for coordinating IED attacks that had killed dozens of American servicemen throughout Iraq and Syria. The tactical situation appeared straightforward: a single precision shot, eliminating the primary target while he addressed subordinates who were planning expanded operations against coalition forces. Rodriguez had established her shooting position on a rocky outcropping, 2,247 meters from the target area, using natural concealment that rendered her invisible to enemy observation, while providing clear sight lines to the amphitheater where the meeting was scheduled to occur. Her spotter, Corporal Danny Reeves, had confirmed range and wind calculations while maintaining radio contact with the Tactical Operations Center that was coordinating the mission from a secure facility in Jordan. The intelligence had been perfect in its specificity. Target identification photographs matched the individual who emerged from a convoy of vehicles at exactly the predicted time, moving with the confident bearing of someone accustomed to command authority. Rodriguez had tracked him through her scope as he positioned himself at the center of the ancient stone structure, addressing a gathering of approximately 30 individuals who arranged themselves in a semicircle that suggested military-style briefing protocols. "Phantom, this is Overwatch," came the voice of Major Thomas Crawford, the intelligence officer coordinating the operation. "Target is positively identified." You are cleared to engage when ready. Rodriguez had settled into her shooting stance with the mechanical precision that had made her legendary among Marine reconnaissance units. Breathing controlled, heart rate steady, mathematical calculations accounting for atmospheric pressure, humidity, and crosswinds that would affect bullet trajectory over the extreme distance to target. The Barrett rifle had felt like an extension of her own nervous system, crosshairs settling on the target's center mass with certainty that had been developed through years of training and combat experience. The shot had been perfect. Rodriguez had watched through her scope as the .50 caliber round found its target with devastating precision, eliminating the individual who intelligence had identified as Ahmad Hassan al-Rashid, a Syrian terrorist commander whose network had been responsible for sophisticated attacks against American convoys throughout the region. Secondary targets had scattered immediately, confirming that the primary objective had been achieved with minimal collateral damage and optimal tactical results. But within hours of mission completion, Rodriguez had received emergency communication from Lieutenant Colonel Blackburn, ordering immediate extraction and return to base for urgent debriefing regarding complications that had emerged following the successful elimination of the designated target. The helicopter ride back to their forward operating base had been conducted in radio silence, with aircrew members who avoided eye contact and spoke only when necessary to coordinate flight operations. The debriefing had begun normally, with Rodriguez providing detailed after-action reports about shooting conditions, target identification procedures, and tactical execution that had achieved mission objectives without compromise or casualty among friendly forces. But the session had taken an ominous turn when Blackburn had been joined by Colonel Michael Hendricks from Army Criminal Investigation Command, whose presence indicated that serious allegations were being investigated. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez. Hendricks had begun with formal coldness that marked the beginning of proceedings that would destroy her military career. We have received intelligence indicating that you may have been compromised by hostile intelligence services and deliberately targeted American personnel during your mission in Palmyra. The accusation had been so unexpected that Rodriguez initially assumed it was some kind of security test designed to evaluate her response to interrogation techniques that enemy forces might employ if she were ever captured during combat operations. But Hendricks had produced classified documents containing financial records that showed substantial monetary transfers to offshore accounts, bearing her personal identification numbers, along with intercepted communications between her and individuals identified as Syrian intelligence operatives. These financial transactions occurred within 48 hours of your mission completion. Hendricks continued, spreading photographs and bank statements across the table with methodical precision. The total amount transferred was $847,000 in cryptocurrency, payment for services rendered to Syrian government forces who wanted to eliminate Colonel James Mitchell, United States Army intelligence, who was conducting classified liaison operations with opposition leaders in the Palmyra region. Rodriguez had stared at the documents with growing horror as she realized that the target she had eliminated had not been Ahmad Hassan al-Rashid, but Colonel Mitchell, an American intelligence officer whose death had compromised ongoing operations and resulted in the capture and execution of dozens of Syrian civilians who had been secretly cooperating with United States forces. The intelligence photographs had been deliberately falsified, the mission briefing had been fabricated, and she had been maneuvered into assassinating an American officer while believing she was eliminating a terrorist target. Colonel, I have never seen these financial records before, and I have never had any contact with Syrian intelligence services, Rodriguez had protested, understanding that her career and potentially her life were being destroyed by evidence that appeared overwhelming despite being completely fabricated. Someone has used my identification to create false documentation that makes it appear I was working with hostile intelligence services. But the evidence had been comprehensive and professionally constructed. Communications intercepts showed conversations between her and Syrian operatives discussing targeting information and payment schedules. Video surveillance from banking facilities showed someone matching her physical description, conducting financial transactions that coincided with the timeline of Colonel Mitchell's assassination. Testimony from captured insurgents claimed that she had been providing American tactical information that had resulted in successful attacks against coalition forces throughout the region. Hendricks had produced additional documentation showing that Rodriguez had accessed classified intelligence systems outside normal operational parameters, downloading information about American force dispositions, patrol schedules, and convoy routes that had subsequently been used by enemy forces to conduct ambush operations that had killed American servicemen. The digital forensic evidence appeared irrefutable, showing her computer access credentials being used to obtain sensitive information that had no relationship to her assigned missions. Staff Sergeant, the evidence indicates that you have been operating as a double agent for Syrian intelligence services for approximately 18 months. Hendricks had concluded with professional detachment that marked career investigators who had seen enough treason cases to remain emotionally uninvested in outcomes. You will be placed under arrest pending court-martial proceedings for treason, conspiracy, and the murder of Colonel James Mitchell. Rodriguez had been transferred to military detention at Quantico, Virginia, where she had spent 6 months in solitary confinement while military prosecutors prepared charges that could result in execution for treason during wartime. The case had been classified at levels that prevented her from obtaining adequate legal representation, with defense attorneys who lacked security clearances necessary to examine the evidence being used to construct her prosecution. But the truth had been far more complex than either the prosecution or defense had understood. Colonel Mitchell had been investigating military contractor fraud involving billions of dollars in reconstruction contracts throughout Syria and Iraq, following financial irregularities that suggested systematic corruption reaching the highest levels of military and civilian leadership. His intelligence network had identified specific individuals who had been selling American tactical information to enemy forces while using patriotic American service members as scapegoats when their activities attracted unwanted attention. Rodriguez had been selected as the perfect patsy, a decorated Marine sniper whose record of successful operations could be twisted into evidence of systematic betrayal, whose access to classified systems could be exploited through identity theft and computer intrusion, and whose elimination would remove a dangerous witness while providing a convenient explanation for intelligence failures that had cost American lives and compromised ongoing operations throughout the region. The setup had been executed by Marcus Kellerman, a private military contractor whose company had been billing the Department of Defense for equipment and services that had never been provided, while simultaneously selling American intelligence to Syrian government forces and various terrorist organizations that paid premium prices for targeting information about coalition activities. Kellerman had cultivated relationships with corrupt intelligence officials who provided access to classified systems and operational planning that enabled his organization to manipulate both American and Syrian forces for maximum financial benefit. But Kellerman's activities had attracted attention from investigators like Colonel Mitchell, whose intelligence network had begun mapping financial connections between private contractors and enemy intelligence services. Rodriguez's elimination of Mitchell had been the final step in a complex operation designed to remove the primary threat to Kellerman's criminal enterprise while providing a scapegoat whose prosecution would satisfy official requirements for accountability without revealing institutional corruption that extended throughout military and civilian leadership. The transportation convoy that had been moving Rodriguez to her court-martial hearing had been attacked by unknown personnel who had eliminated her guards with precision that suggested professional military training. She had awakened in a medical facility where Dr. Sarah Chun, a former army surgeon, had explained that Rodriguez had been rescued by individuals who understood that her prosecution was being used to cover up systematic corruption that threatened American national security. The evidence against you was fabricated by the same people who wanted Colonel Mitchell eliminated, Dr. Chun had explained while treating Rodriguez for injuries sustained during the convoy attack. We have documentation proving that Marcus Kellerman and his associates have been manipulating both American and Syrian intelligence services, but we need time to develop cases that will expose the complete scope of their activities without alerting other participants who remain in positions of authority. Rodriguez had been given a choice: accept official death and disappear completely, allowing investigators to build cases against the real criminals while remaining safely hidden, or attempt to clear her name through legal proceedings that would result in her actual assassination by forces that had already demonstrated their willingness to eliminate anyone who threatened their operations. The decision had been simple, though psychologically devastating. She would cease to exist officially, becoming a ghost whose survival depended on remaining invisible while justice slowly worked through institutional channels that moved at bureaucratic rather than operational speeds. Now, 4 years later, that same sense of justice that had driven her into exile was compelling her to risk everything for 18 Navy SEALs whose lives depended on skills that only she possessed within range of their desperate situation. The woman who had been destroyed for refusing to abandon American values would prove those values by abandoning her safety for fellow warriors who represented everything she had once sworn to defend. Rodriguez moved through her equipment preparations with the methodical precision of someone who understood that survival depended on attention to details that lesser operators might overlook. The Barrett M107A1 received first priority, each component inspected and function tested despite having been maintained in perfect operational condition throughout 4 years of enforced inactivity. The rifle's .50 caliber capabilities represented her only realistic option for engaging targets at the extreme ranges that would be necessary to provide effective support for forces trapped in the Kandahar Valley. But as she assembled her tactical loadout, another transmission crackled through the emergency frequency with information that changed the fundamental nature of what she was considering. Any station monitoring this frequency, this is Captain Nathan Cross, United States Air Force, currently grounded at Bagram Air Base due to mechanical issues with my A-10 Warthog. I'm monitoring SEAL Team 12 situation, and I have a proposal that might sound completely insane. Rodriguez paused in her equipment preparation, recognizing something in Cross's voice that suggested the kind of tactical innovation that marked exceptional combat pilots who specialized in close air support operations. The A-10 Thunderbolt was specifically designed for providing precision fire support to ground forces, but mechanical problems had apparently eliminated that option for assisting the trapped SEALs. SEAL Team 12. This is Captain Cross, the transmission continued. I've got a civilian contractor aircraft here at Bagram, a modified C-130 Hercules that's been configured for cargo operations, but retains full flight capability. If there's a qualified sniper willing to attempt precision shooting from a moving aircraft platform, I can provide transport to effective range of your position and maintain stable flight patterns for extended engagement sequences. The tactical implications crystallized immediately in Rodriguez's mind. Aerial precision shooting from a moving platform represented one of the most challenging marksmanship disciplines in military operations, requiring mathematical calculations that accounted for aircraft velocity, altitude, atmospheric conditions, and target movement while compensating for vibration and instability that made normal shooting techniques impossible. But it also offered the only realistic method for reaching effective firing positions within the time constraints that SEAL Team 12's survival required. Lieutenant Commander Harrison's response carried desperate hope mixed with professional skepticism. about tactical possibilities that exceeded conventional operational parameters. Captain Cross, this is Harrison. Do you have a qualified sniper who can attempt aerial precision shooting? Because we're running out of conventional options and my people are dying down here. Rodriguez keyed her radio handset, understanding that her next words would end 4 years of carefully maintained anonymity and expose her to governmental agencies that would arrest her immediately if they discovered her involvement in active military operations. But 18 American warriors were facing systematic elimination unless someone with her specific capabilities intervened, regardless of personal consequences or legal complications. SEAL Team 12. This is an independent contractor with precision shooting capabilities, Rodriguez transmitted, using terminology that avoided direct admission of military status while indicating relevant tactical expertise. I can provide long-range fire support if transportation to effective range can be arranged. What are your specific requirements for precision elimination of enemy positions? The response came immediately from Harrison, whose voice reflected the kind of desperate professionalism that marked combat leaders who understood when conventional protocols had to be abandoned in favor of tactical innovation. Independent contractor. We need precision elimination of enemy sniper positions and crew-served weapons that are maintaining coordinated fire from elevated terrain features. Range to targets varies from 800 to 2,400 meters, with multiple positions requiring sequential engagement to prevent coordinated response. Rodriguez calculated the tactical requirements rapidly, understanding that aerial precision shooting would demand equipment modifications and shooting techniques that she had studied extensively but never attempted under actual combat conditions. The Barrett rifle would require specialized mounting systems to provide stability while accommodating aircraft movement, and her ammunition selection would need to account for ballistic changes caused by altitude and CORFA, atmospheric pressure variations. Understood. SEAL Team 12. I can provide requested fire support with appropriate transportation and tactical coordination. Captain Cross. What's your timeline for aircraft preparation and flight operations to effective engagement range? Cross's response indicated the kind of operational flexibility that marked experienced combat pilots who specialized in close air support missions, requiring precise coordination with ground forces. Independent contractor. I can have the C-130 configured for your requirements and airborne within 90 minutes. Flight time to Kandahar Valley area is approximately 4 hours, putting us on station before enemy forces complete their systematic elimination of American personnel. But Rodriguez understood that accepting this mission would require her to work directly with active-duty military personnel, who might recognize her from service records or operational briefings that had circulated following her supposed death 4 years earlier. Captain Cross and Lieutenant Commander Harrison represented the kind of professional warriors who paid attention to personnel information and tactical innovations that could affect their operational effectiveness. Captain Cross. I need specific information about aircraft configuration and available mounting systems for precision shooting equipment. Rodriguez transmitted while calculating the risks of exposure against the certainty that 18 SEALs would die without her intervention. Also require confirmation that aircraft crew has been briefed on operational security requirements for this mission. The pause before Cross's response suggested he was consulting with personnel who understood the sensitive nature of military operations involving unofficial contractors whose capability, i.e. has exceeded normal parameters for civilian involvement in combat operations. Independent contractor. My crew consists of former military personnel with appropriate security clearances and extensive experience with unconventional operations. Aircraft modifications can accommodate your equipment requirements with full understanding of operational sensitivity. Rodriguez made her final decision with the same instantaneous clarity that had characterized her best combat shooting, a moment of absolute conviction that transcended rational analysis of risks and legal consequences. These were her people, American servicemen who had volunteered for the most dangerous assignments their country could offer, now facing elimination by enemy forces that had learned to exploit every weakness in conventional tactical doctrine. Captain Cross, I accept transportation arrangement and operational coordination for precision fire support mission, Rodriguez transmitted while beginning rapid preparation for tactical deployment that would end her 4 years of safe anonymity. Provide coordinates for aircraft pickup and specific timing for mission commencement. SEAL Team 12, maintain defensive positions and prepare for coordinated fire support beginning approximately 6 hours from current time. Harrison's response carried relief mixed with professional gratitude for tactical support that represented their only realistic chance of survival. Independent contractor, Roger on 6-hour timeline. Will maintain current positions and provide target designation when you're on station. And whoever you are, thank you for risking everything to help people you've never met. Rodriguez disconnected from the radio frequency and began systematic preparation for what would either represent redemption through service to fellow warriors or final sacrifice in support of American personnel who embodied everything she had once sworn to defend. Equipment selection proceeded with mechanical efficiency, each piece chosen for specific tactical value while calculating weight and space. Restrictions for aircraft transportation. The Barrett rifle formed the centerpiece of her loadout, along with specialized ammunition designed for extreme-range precision shooting under adverse conditions. Advanced optics, range-finding equipment, atmospheric monitoring instruments, and backup communication systems comprise the technical package necessary for aerial precision shooting operations. Personal equipment remained minimal: tactical clothing, survival gear, and medical supplies that might be necessary if the mission resulted in her capture or injury. But the most crucial preparation involved psychological readiness for re-entering a world of official military operations, where her presence would create legal and operational complications that could compromise the mission and endanger the personnel she was attempting to assist. Rodriguez would need to function as both precision marksman and ghost, providing tactical support while remaining invisible to intelligence systems that would identify her immediately if they detected her involvement in active combat operations. She sealed her cabin with security measures that would protect sensitive equipment and personal items from discovery by search teams that might investigate her disappearance, understanding that returning from this mission remained uncertain given the legal consequences of her official involvement in military activities. The satellite phone that had connected her to the outside world for 4 years would remain active, providing emergency communication capabilities that might prove necessary if the mission required extended duration or resulted in complications. Beyond current tactical planning, Rodriguez shouldered her equipment pack and moved toward the helicopter landing zone that Captain Cross had designated for personnel pickup, understanding that each step carried her further from the safety of anonymity toward either redemption through service or permanent elimination by the same governmental forces that had branded her a traitor. The mountain peaks that had provided sanctuary for 4 years disappeared behind her as she advanced toward a rendezvous with American warriors whose survival depended on skills that only she possessed within effective range of their desperate situation. Above her, the sound of approaching rotor blades indicated that Captain Cross had maintained his promised timeline for transportation to combat operations that would test every aspect of her professional capabilities under conditions that would either validate her tactical expertise or result in the deaths of 19 American servicemen, including herself. The woman who had been destroyed for refusing to abandon American values would prove those values by risking everything for fellow warriors whose courage under impossible Circumstances represented the best qualities of military service that she had once considered the highest calling of her professional life. The modified C-130 Hercules aircraft that Captain Nathan Cross had commandeered represented a masterpiece of improvised military engineering. Its cargo bay transformed into a precision shooting platform through modifications that would have impressed even the most experienced special operations planners. Rodriguez climbed aboard the aircraft at a remote airstrip in eastern Washington, where Cross had established operational staging that avoided major military installations where her presence might trigger automated identification systems that could compromise the entire mission. "Welcome aboard, independent contractor," Cross said with professional courtesy that avoided direct questioning about her identity while acknowledging tactical expertise that exceeded normal civilian parameters. "My crew chief, Master Sergeant Tony Rivera, has configured shooting positions that should accommodate your equipment requirements while providing stability necessary for precision engagement." Rivera, a weathered veteran whose technical expertise had been developed through 22 years of maintaining Air Force aircraft in combat zones throughout the Middle East, had created mounting systems that would stabilize Rodriguez's Barrett rifle against aircraft vibration while allowing for precise adjustment during engagement sequences. The shooting position itself had been engineered to provide optimal sight lines through specially modified cargo doors that could be opened during flight operations without compromising aircraft pressurization or flight characteristics. "Ma'am, I've installed gyroscopic stabilization systems that will counteract most aircraft movement," Rivera explained while demonstrating equipment that represented improvised innovation at its finest. The mounting system allows for elevation and windage adjustments while maintaining weapon zero, and communication systems will let you coordinate directly with our pilot during engagement sequences. Rodriguez inspected the modifications with professional appreciation for technical expertise that had solved complex engineering problems under severe time constraints. The stabilization systems would eliminate most aircraft-induced movement that could affect precision shooting, while specialized optics mounting allowed her scope to function effectively despite atmospheric pressure changes and vibration that would render normal equipment useless. "Master Sergeant, this configuration exceeds anything I've seen in official military aerial shooting platforms," Rodriguez said, understanding that Rivera's innovations represented the kind of technical excellence that marked the best military personnel regardless of their official assignments. "How did you develop expertise in precision shooting platform engineering?" Rivera's response revealed the kind of diverse experience that characterized senior military personnel who had adapted to multiple operational requirements throughout their careers. "Ma'am, I spent 3 deployments working with special operations units that required custom equipment modifications for unconventional missions. You learn to solve technical problems when American lives depend on equipment functioning perfectly under impossible conditions." As the C-130 lifted off from the remote airstrip, Rodriguez settled into the shooting position while calculating engagement parameters that would be required for precision fire support from a moving aerial platform. The tactical challenges were unprecedented in her experience, shooting distances that would exceed 2,000 meters while compensating for aircraft velocity, altitude variations, atmospheric pressure changes, and target movement that would be observed through advanced optic systems. Captain Cross's voice came through the aircraft intercom system as they reached cruising altitude and began the 4-hour flight toward the Kandahar Valley region where SEAL Team 12 remained trapped by enemy forces that had demonstrated professional tactical capabilities matching American special operations standards. Independent contractor were maintaining communication with ground forces. Latest intelligence indicates enemy positions have been reinforced with additional personnel and heavy weapons that are systematically eliminating American defensive capabilities. The implications were devastating for SEAL Team 12 survival prospects. Reinforced enemy positions suggested that the initial ambush had been part of a larger tactical operation designed to eliminate American special operations capabilities, while demonstrating enemy technical sophistication that exceeded previous intelligence assessments. Professional opposition that had been specifically prepared to counter American tactical doctrine represented challenges that exceeded conventional military training. Rodriguez monitored radio transmissions from the Kandahar Valley throughout the flight, listening to increasingly desperate communications that painted a picture of systematic elimination proceeding exactly as enemy forces had planned. SEAL Team 12 had lost 3 more personnel during attempted movement to improve defensive positions, while ammunition supplies had reached critical levels that would force them to rely on sidearms and improvised weapons within the next 2 hours. Any station. This is SEAL Team 12, came Lieutenant Commander Harrison's voice through static that indicated his radio equipment had sustained damage during recent engagement. We have confirmed 14 personnel remaining operational, with multiple casualties requiring immediate medical evacuation. Enemy forces are maintaining coordinated fire from at least 12 separate positions that we cannot effectively engage with. Available weapon systems. Rodriguez keyed her communication system, understanding that her response would provide the first confirmation that assistance was actually en route rather than just promised through military channels that had failed to deliver effective support for 8 hours of continuous combat. SEAL Team 12, this is Precision Fire Support Element, currently 1 hour out from your position. Maintain defensive positions and prepare for coordinated engagement of enemy positions, beginning at approximately 14:30 hours local time. Harrison's response carried relief mixed with professional skepticism about tactical capabilities that seemed too good to be true given their desperate circumstances. Precision Fire Support, Roger on 14:30 timeline. Be advised that enemy positions are well concealed and professionally coordinated. They've demonstrated knowledge of American tactical doctrine and have adapted their positioning to counter conventional fire support methods. As the C-130 approached the Kandahar Valley region, Rodriguez began final preparations for precision shooting operations that would test every aspect of her professional capabilities under conditions that had never been attempted by American military forces. The Barrett rifle had been zeroed for the specific altitude and atmospheric conditions they would encounter, while specialized ammunition had been selected for optimal ballistic performance at extreme ranges through variable air density. Captain, cross-reduced aircraft altitude and airspeed to provide optimal shooting conditions while maintaining sufficient distance from enemy positions to avoid anti-aircraft fire that could eliminate their platform before precision engagement could be attempted. The C-130's flight characteristics allowed for remarkably stable shooting conditions, with Rivera's stabilization systems eliminating most vibration that could affect accuracy at extreme ranges. Independent contractor were approaching optimal firing position. Cross announced through the intercom system. Ground forces are transmitting target coordinates for priority engagement. First target is enemy sniper position that has been eliminating American personnel attempting to reach improved defensive positions. Rodriguez settled into her shooting stance with controlled breathing that slowed her heart rate to levels necessary for precision shooting under extreme conditions. Through her scope, the Kandahar Valley appeared as a tactical chessboard where American warriors were being systematically eliminated by professional opposition that had demonstrated superior positioning and coordination. Her first shot would announce their presence while either validating the tactical concept or revealing its limitations under actual combat conditions. Range to primary target, 1,847 meters at aircraft altitude of 8,500 feet, requiring mathematical calculations that accounted for air density variations, aircraft velocity of 180 knots, crosswinds at multiple altitudes, and target movement that she could observe through advanced optics. The enemy sniper position occupied a rocky outcropping that provided excellent concealment while offering clear sight lines to American defensive positions below. SEAL Team 12, this is precision fire support. Engage in enemy sniper position at grid, coordinates 34, 2847 north, 65.1923, east. Recommend all personnel maintain cover during engagement sequence. Rodriguez's finger found the trigger with pressure that had become instinctive through thousands of practice rounds and dozens of combat engagements, where hesitation meant death for American personnel, depending on her precision shooting capabilities. The mathematical relationships between bullet trajectory, atmospheric conditions, aircraft movement, and target location compressed into split-second calculations that couldn't accommodate doubt or second-guessing. The Barrett rifle's discharge within the aircraft cargo bay created thunderous sound that was partially muffled by specialized acoustic dampening systems that Rivera had installed to protect crew hearing during extended engagement sequences. Through her scope, Rodriguez observed the .50 caliber round's impact with professional satisfaction as the enemy sniper position was eliminated with precision that demonstrated the tactical viability of aerial precision shooting from modified aircraft platforms. SEAL Team 12, enemy sniper position eliminated, Rodriguez transmitted while rapidly adjusting her shooting position for engagement of secondary targets that were already responding to the unexpected precision fire from an impossible direction. Engaging crew-served weapon position, maintaining coordinated fire against your defensive perimeter. Lieutenant Commander Harrison's response reflected amazement mixed with tactical relief as enemy fire patterns immediately changed following elimination of their most effective sniper who had been systematically targeting American personnel attempting to reach improved positions. Precision fire support, outstanding shooting. That sniper has been killing my people for 6 hours. How the hell are you making shots like that from an aircraft? Rodriguez's second shot eliminated a machine gun position that had been providing suppressive fire, preventing SEAL Team 12 from establishing effective return fire against other enemy positions. The tactical impact was immediate and significant. American defensive capabilities improved dramatically as coordinated enemy fire patterns became disrupted through systematic elimination of key positions that had been controlling tactical initiative. But professional opposition adapted quickly to unexpected threats, and Rodriguez observed enemy personnel beginning coordinated displacement toward positions that offered concealment from aerial observation while maintaining effective fire against American ground forces. Her tactical advantage measured in minutes rather than hours, requiring rapid engagement of multiple targets before enemy adaptation could neutralize the effectiveness of precision fire support from aerial platforms. The woman who had spent 4 years in exile was proving her capabilities through precision shooting that was changing tactical balance in favor of American forces whose survival had seemed impossible just hours earlier. Each shot represented vindication of professional expertise while demonstrating that technical innovation could overcome tactical disadvantages when executed by personnel with exceptional capabilities and absolute commitment to mission success. Rodriguez's third shot eliminated a mortar team that had been systematically targeting SEAL Team 12's defensive positions with indirect fire, but her scope revealed a tactical development that changed the entire nature of the engagement. Enemy reinforcements were arriving in military-grade vehicles equipped with heavy machine guns and what appeared to be shoulder-fired surface-to-air missiles, transforming the battlefield from a static ambush into a dynamic combined arms operation that threatened both the trapped SEALs and her aerial platform. Captain Cross, I'm observing enemy anti-aircraft capabilities approaching the target area. Rodriguez transmitted through the aircraft intercom while tracking the movement of vehicles that carried personnel with obviously professional military training. Recommend immediate altitude increase and tactical maneuvering to avoid surface-to-air engagement while maintaining effective shooting position. Cross's response indicated the kind of tactical expertise that marked experienced combat pilots who specialized in close air support operations under contested conditions. Roger, independent contractor. Climbing to 12,000 feet and initiating evasive flight patterns. Can you maintain precision shooting effectiveness at increased range and with aircraft maneuvering? The challenge represented the most difficult shooting conditions Rodriguez had ever attempted, requiring mathematical calculations that accounted for rapidly changing aircraft altitude, velocity variations during evasive maneuvering, atmospheric pressure changes, and increased range to targets that were becoming progressively more difficult to identify through scope magnification. But SEAL Team 12 survival depended on continued precision fire support that could eliminate threats faster than enemy reinforcements could establish effective positions. Affirmative, Captain. Adjusting shooting parameters for increased range and aircraft movement. SEAL Team 12, enemy reinforcements are arriving with heavy weapons and anti-aircraft capabilities. I need immediate target designation for priority threats that pose greatest danger to your defensive positions, Lieutenant. Commander Harrison's response came through radio static that indicated his communication equipment was failing under sustained enemy fire and environmental conditions that had degraded electronic systems throughout the engagement. Precision fire support. Priority targets are 3 vehicle-mounted heavy machine guns, establishing overlapping fields of fire from our northwest, northeast, and southern approaches. Their positioning to eliminate our remaining cover and finish us with coordinated assault. Rodriguez observed the tactical situation through her scope with professional assessment that recognized enemy tactical expertise matching American special operations standards. The vehicle positioning demonstrated understanding of American defensive doctrine, creating kill zones that would eliminate SEAL Team 12's remaining tactical options while providing mutual fire support that would prevent piecemeal elimination of individual positions. Fourth shot targeted the northwestern machine gun position at a range of 2,234 meters, while the C-130 maintained evasive maneuvering that created shooting conditions equivalent to attempting precision marksmanship during an earthquake. The mathematical complexity required instantaneous calculations accounting for aircraft velocity vectors, altitude changes during evasive flight patterns, crosswinds at multiple altitudes, and target movement that made conventional shooting techniques impossible. The Barrett rifle's recoil within the aircraft created additional complications as Rivera's stabilization systems struggled to compensate for forces generated by .50 caliber discharge combined with aircraft maneuvering that exceeded design parameters for the improvised shooting platform. Each shot required immediate repositioning and recalibration that tested both equipment capabilities and operator expertise under conditions that pushed beyond theoretical limits. Hit confirmed on northwestern position, Rodriguez reported while rapidly adjusting for engagement of the northeastern target that had begun firing armor-piercing rounds capable of penetrating the rocky cover protecting SEAL Team 12's remaining personnel. Engaging northeastern heavy weapon position, but enemy adaptation to her precision fire support was becoming increasingly sophisticated as professional military personnel recognized the tactical threat posed by aerial precision shooting and began implementing countermeasures designed specifically to neutralize sniper operations. Vehicle-mounted personnel were deploying smoke generators that created visual obscuration around their positions, while coordinated movement patterns minimized exposure during tactical displacement to improved fighting positions. Independent contractor. Be advised that enemy forces are launching surface-to-air missiles, Captain Cross announced through the intercom system as warning alarms began sounding throughout the aircraft. Initiating maximum evasive maneuvering and deploying countermeasures. This is going to get very rough very quickly. The 100 to 130 entered violent, evasive maneuvers that would have been impossible to survive without Rodriguez being secured in the specially configured shooting position that Rivera had, engineered for extreme conditions. G-forces during the evasive flight patterns exceeded anything she had experienced during training, while aircraft movement made precision shooting temporarily impossible as the Barrett rifle stabilization systems reached mechanical limits. Through the aircraft's defensive systems, Rodriguez could observe missile trails that indicated professional-grade surface-to-air weapons with guidance capabilities that posed genuine threats to their modified C-130 despite Cross's tactical flying expertise. Enemy forces had been prepared for aerial intervention, suggesting intelligence capabilities that had anticipated American tactical responses to the SEAL Team 12 ambush. SEAL Team 12. This is precision fire support, Rodriguez transmitted while the aircraft continued evasive maneuvering that temporarily prevented effective shooting. We're under surface-to-air missile attack and may need to withdraw to safe distance. Can you maintain defensive positions for approximately 10 minutes while we neutralize anti-aircraft threats? Harrison's response carried desperate professionalism that acknowledged their deteriorating tactical situation while expressing absolute confidence in personnel whose capabilities had already exceeded anything in his operational experience. Precision fire support will hold our positions, but we've lost 2 more people during the last enemy assault, and ammunition is down to less than 20 rounds per man. If you can't resume fire support within 10 minutes, we're going to be overrun. Rodriguez understood that SEAL Team 12 survival measured in minutes rather than hours, requiring tactical innovation that balanced aircraft safety against ground force requirements under conditions that exceeded normal operational parameters. But professional warriors adapted to impossible circumstances through technical expertise and absolute commitment to mission completion, regardless of personal risk. Factors. Captain Cross, I need you to maintain stable flight pattern for 30 seconds while I eliminate the anti-aircraft positions, Rodriguez transmitted through the intercom system. I know it violates aircraft safety protocols, but those men will die if we don't neutralize the missile threat immediately. Cross's response reflected the kind of tactical courage that marked exceptional combat pilots who understood when mission requirements exceeded safety considerations. Independent contractor, Roger. Unstable flight pattern. 30 seconds starting. Now. Rodriguez settled into her shooting stance while calculating engagement parameters for targets that were actively launching surface-to-air missiles at their aircraft. Range to the nearest anti-aircraft position was 1,923 meters through atmospheric conditions. That included smoke from burning vehicles and dust clouds created by missile impacts. Her scope revealed enemy personnel operating sophisticated weapons systems with professional competence that marked former military training. The Pentoffen Barrett rifle discharged as Rodriguez eliminated the primary anti-aircraft threat with precision that demonstrated technical expertise under conditions that would have been impossible for less experienced marksmen. The .50 caliber round found its target despite aircraft movement and environmental complications, eliminating the missile launcher that posed immediate threat to their aerial platform. But enemy tactical adaptation continued as remaining anti-aircraft positions began coordinated fire that created overlapping engagement zones designed to force their aircraft into predetermined kill zones, where multiple missile systems could achieve simultaneous target acquisition. Professional military tactics that exceeded random insurgent capabilities by significant margins. Second anti-aircraft position eliminated, Rodriguez reported while rapidly adjusting for engagement of the final missile threat. Captain Cross, recommend maximum evasive maneuvering immediately after my next shot. They're coordinating engagement zones to trap us in overlapping fire patterns. Her 6th shot eliminated the final anti-aircraft position at the precise moment when enemy missile acquisition would have achieved target lock, allowing Captain Cross to resume evasive flight patterns that avoided remaining surface-to-air threats while positioning for renewed precision fire support against targets threatening SEAL Team 12 survival. Independent contractor. Outstanding shooting under impossible conditions. Cross transmitted through the intercom system. Anti-aircraft threats neutralized. You can resume ground support operations, but Rodriguez's scope revealed tactical developments that indicated enemy forces possessed intelligence and coordination capabilities that exceeded anything in their previous assessments. Additional vehicles were arriving from multiple directions, carrying personnel and equipment that suggested this engagement represented part of a larger military operation designed to demonstrate enemy tactical superiority over American Special Operations Forces SEAL Team 12. Enemy reinforcements continue arriving from multiple directions. Rodriguez transmitted while calculating target priorities that balanced immediate threats against strategic objectives. I count approximately 40 additional personnel with heavy weapons and coordination equipment. This appears to be a planned demonstration operation rather than random ambush activity. Harrison's response acknowledged tactical realities that extended beyond immediate survival toward strategic implications for American military operations throughout the region. Precision fire support. We suspected this was more than coincidental ambush. Intelligence suggested enemy forces were planning major demonstration of anti-American capabilities, and we appear to have walked into their carefully prepared trap. Rodriguez understood that SEAL Team 12 survival had become secondary to preventing enemy forces from achieving strategic objectives that would demonstrate American military vulnerabilities to audiences throughout the Middle East and beyond. Professional opposition had been specifically prepared to eliminate American Special Operations capabilities while documenting tactical superiority for propaganda purposes that could affect military operations globally. The tactical situation had evolved from rescue operation into strategic engagement, where failure would provide enemies with propaganda victories that could influence military operations far beyond the immediate battlefield. In the Kandahar Valley, the tactical situation in the Kandahar Valley reached critical threshold as enemy forces implemented their final phase of what intelligence analysts would later classify as Operation Desert Demonstration, a carefully orchestrated military exercise designed to showcase tactical superiority over American Special Operations Forces while providing propaganda footage for international distribution. Rodriguez observed through her scope as professional camera crews established filming positions on elevated terrain, documenting the systematic elimination of SEAL Team 12 for audiences that would include terrorist organizations, hostile governments, and military planners throughout regions where American influence remained contested. SEAL Team 12. This is precision fire support. Rodriguez transmitted while calculating engagement priorities at balanced immediate tactical threats against strategic objectives that extended far beyond individual survival. Enemy forces are establishing documentation equipment for propaganda purposes. This engagement is being recorded for international distribution to demonstrate American military vulnerabilities. Lieutenant Commander Harrison's response carried grim understanding of implications that transcended their immediate tactical situation. Precision fire support. We suspected propaganda objectives when enemy coordination exceeded normal ambush parameters. They want footage of American Special Operations Forces being systematically eliminated by professionally trained opposition using superior tactical positioning and coordination. The C-130 aircraft that served as Rodriguez's shooting platform was approaching fuel limitations that would soon force withdrawal from the combat zone, leaving SEAL Team 12 without precision fire support during the final phase of enemy operations that had been designed specifically to achieve complete elimination of American forces. Captain Cross had maintained evasive flight patterns for over 2 hours, while providing stable shooting conditions that enabled Rodriguez to eliminate 12 enemy positions. But aircraft endurance remained finite despite tactical requirements that demanded continued presence. Independent contractor. We're approaching minimum fuel reserves for safe return to base. Cross announced through the intercom system with professional regret that marked experienced pilots who understood when tactical requirements exceeded aircraft capabilities. I can maintain station for approximately 20 more minutes before mandatory withdrawal to avoid fuel exhaustion that would eliminate our platform entirely. Rodriguez calculated remaining ammunition supplies against target priorities that would determine SEAL Team 12's survival prospects once aerial fire support became unavailable. 17 rounds remained for the Barrett rifle, requiring precision target selection that maximized tactical impact while conserving ammunition for threats that posed greatest danger to American defensive positions. But enemy forces numbered over 60 personnel with heavy weapons, coordination equipment, and professional tactical training that matched American special operations standards. Through her scope, Rodriguez observed enemy tactical preparations that indicated final assault operations were beginning. Vehicle-mounted personnel were establishing fire support positions that would provide coordinated suppressive fire while dismounted assault teams advanced through terrain features that offered concealment from remaining American defensive capabilities. Professional military tactics executed with precision that suggested extensive training specifically focused on eliminating American Special Operations Forces, SEAL Team 12. Enemy forces are beginning final assault preparations. Rodriguez transmitted while adjusting her shooting position for engagement of targets that posed immediate threats to American survival. I count 3 separate assault teams advancing from different directions with heavy weapons support and coordination equipment. Recommend immediate preparation for coordinated defensive remaining positions. Harrison's response reflected desperate professionalism that acknowledged tactical realities while maintaining absolute commitment to mission completion and personnel survival under impossible circumstances. Precision fire support. We're down to 11 personnel with less than 10 rounds per man. Medical supplies are exhausted, and we have 4 wounded who can't maintain effective fighting positions. If you can't eliminate their assault coordination, we're going to be overrun within the next 15 minutes. Rodriguez understood that tactical mathematics had reached decision point where conventional precision shooting would prove insufficient against enemy forces that possessed overwhelming numerical superiority and professional coordination capabilities. But her scope revealed tactical opportunity that could change engagement dynamics through strategic target selection rather than sequential elimination of individual threats. Enemy command personnel were establishing coordination positions that controlled assault timing and tactical communication between separated elements. Her 13th shot eliminated the primary tactical coordinator at 2,156 meters while enemy assault teams were beginning final approach movements, creating immediate coordination breakdown that disrupted carefully timed assault operations. Secondary explosions from eliminated communication equipment indicated that enemy command capabilities had been significantly degraded through precision elimination of key personnel and tactical systems. Command coordination eliminated. Rodriguez reported while rapidly adjusting for engagement of secondary command positions that were attempting to restore tactical control over assault operations that had lost synchronized timing. Enemy assault teams are experiencing coordination failures. SEAL Team 12 recommend immediate counter-assault while they're adapting to command structure disruption. But professional military opposition adapted quickly to tactical setbacks, with individual assault team leaders assuming local command responsibility and continuing advance operations. despite loss of centralized coordination. Rodriguez observed through her scope as enemy personnel demonstrated tactical flexibility that marked exceptional military training, maintaining assault momentum through individual initiative and professional competence that exceeded random insurgent capabilities that her 14th shot eliminated. A heavy weapons team that was providing suppressive fire for advancing assault personnel, but remaining enemy forces continued tactical advancement, using terrain features and mutual fire support that demonstrated superior knowledge of local geography and tactical positioning. Rodriguez's precision shooting had degraded enemy capabilities but remained insufficient to prevent final assault operations that would eliminate SEAL Team 12 through overwhelming numerical superiority. Independent contractor. Fuel state is approaching critical levels, Captain Cross announced through the intercom system. I need immediate decision on mission, continuation or withdrawal to avoid aircraft loss that would eliminate any possibility of future support operations. Rodriguez faced tactical decision that balanced aircraft safety against SEAL Team 12 survival during final minutes of engagement that would determine strategic outcomes, extending far beyond immediate battlefield results. Continued precision fire support offered minimal chance of preventing American elimination, while aircraft withdrawal guaranteed complete enemy tactical success with propaganda implications that could affect military operations throughout the region. But through her scope, Rodriguez observed tactical development that changed fundamental equation of engagement parameters. A dust cloud on the northern horizon indicated approaching vehicles that could represent either additional enemy reinforcements or American relief forces that had finally reached effective range of SEAL Team 12's position. Professional assessment suggested that aircraft identification would require direct observation at ranges that would expose her platform to anti-aircraft fire from enemy positions that retain surface-to-air capabilities. Captain Cross, I need low-altitude reconnaissance of approaching vehicles from northern direction. Rodriguez transmitted while understanding that her request violated aircraft safety protocols under contested conditions. SEAL Team 12 survival may depend on identifying whether those vehicles represent friendly or hostile forces. Cross's response reflected tactical courage that marked exceptional combat pilots who understood when mission requirements demanded acceptance of risks that exceeded normal operational parameters. Roger, independent contractor. Descending to identification altitude and maintaining evasive flight patterns. This is going to expose us to remaining anti-aircraft threats. The C-130 descended through altitude that brought them within range of surviving enemy air defense systems while providing Rodriguez with scope observation of vehicles that were approaching at high speed across terrain that favored tactical movement by forces familiar with local geography. Through magnified optics, she could identify vehicle types and personnel configurations that would determine whether SEAL Team 12 faced final elimination or unexpected relief from American forces. SEAL Team 12. Approaching vehicles appear to be American Humvees with heavy weapons and personnel configured for special operations. Rodriguez transmitted with relief that carried professional satisfaction despite continued tactical dangers. Recommend preparation for coordination with relief forces that should reach your position within 10 minutes. Harrison's response reflected desperate hope mixed with tactical skepticism about relief operations. That seemed too fortuitous given their desperate circumstances during 8 hours of continuous combat against professionally coordinated opposition. Precision fire support. Can you provide target designation for remaining enemy positions that pose threats to relief force approach? We don't want American reinforcements walking into the same ambush that trapped us. Rodriguez observed enemy forces through her scope while calculating target priorities that would clear approach routes for American relief operations without exposing her aircraft platform to anti-aircraft fire that could eliminate precision fire support during critical coordination between trapped forces and approaching reinforcements. Professional target selection required balancing immediate tactical effectiveness against continued operational capability. Her 15th shot eliminated an anti-aircraft position that could engage American relief vehicles during their final approach, while her 16th shot eliminated a machine gun position that controlled terrain features necessary for SEAL Team 12's movement toward linking up with relief forces. Each shot represented calculated risk that balanced aircraft safety against ground force requirements under conditions that demanded exceptional precision and tactical judgment. But enemy forces had prepared for American relief operations, establishing ambush positions that would engage approaching vehicles with coordinated fire from multiple directions while maintaining suppressive fire against SEAL Team 12's defensive positions. Professional tactical preparation that suggested extensive intelligence about American relief procedures and tactical doctrine for special operations recovery. Missions, independent contractor, fuel state is now critical. Cross announced through the intercom system. We have sufficient fuel for one more engagement pass before mandatory withdrawal. Make it count. Rodriguez understood that her final shot would determine tactical outcomes for engagement that had tested every aspect of her professional capabilities under conditions that exceeded anything in her military experience. 17 American warriors depended on precision marksmanship that could eliminate enemy tactical advantages during final minutes when relief operations would either succeed or result in complete elimination of American forces for enemy propaganda purposes. Through her scope, Rodriguez identified the tactical coordinator who was directing ambush operations against approaching American relief forces, whose elimination would create coordination breakdown during critical moments when tactical timing would determine success or failure of rescue operations that represented SEAL Team 12's final chance for survival after 8 hours of impossible circumstances. Rodriguez's 17th and final shot eliminated the enemy tactical coordinator directing ambush operations against American relief forces at the precise moment when coordination timing would determine success or failure of rescue operations that represented SEAL Team 12's last chance for survival. The .50 caliber round found its target at 2,089 meters, despite aircraft fuel limitations that forced Captain Cross to maintain minimum safe airspeed while providing stable shooting conditions. During critical engagement sequences, through her scope, Rodriguez observed immediate tactical confusion among enemy positions as professional military personnel responded to command structure elimination by attempting to maintain ambush coordination through individual initiative and pre-established tactical protocols. But the timing disruption created operational windows that American relief forces exploited with precision that marked exceptional special operations capabilities under contested conditions. SEAL Team 12, this is Ranger Team Alpha approaching. From northern direction came the voice of Major Patricia Hendricks through radio frequencies that confirmed American relief operations had finally reached effective range after 8 hours of impossible circumstances. We count multiple enemy positions maintaining fire on your location. Request immediate target designation for suppressive fire support during final approach operations. Lieutenant Commander Harrison's response carried desperate professionalism, mixed with relief that American reinforcements possessed heavy weapons and coordination capabilities that could change tactical balance in favor of forces that had survived professional elimination attempts through superior training and absolute determination. Ranger Alpha, priority targets are machine gun positions controlling our eastern and western flanks. Enemy forces have been coordinating suppressive fire that prevents movement to improve defensive positions. Rodriguez keyed her communication system while observing tactical developments that indicated enemy forces were beginning organized withdrawal toward prepared defensive positions that would allow continued resistance despite American relief operations. Ranger Alpha, this is precision fire support currently providing overwatch from aerial platform. Enemy tactical coordination has been disrupted. But organized withdrawal is beginning towards secondary positions that offer continued tactical advantages. Major Hendrick's response acknowledged tactical complexity that exceeded simple relief operations toward strategic engagement requiring coordination between multiple American elements operating under time constraints imposed by aircraft fuel limitations and enemy tactical adaptation. Precision fire support. Roger on enemy withdrawal. Can you provide continued overwatch during our assault on remaining positions? We need to prevent organized escape that would allow enemy forces to maintain operational capability for future engagements. But Captain Cross's voice through the aircraft intercom system indicated that continued operations had reached absolute limits of aircraft endurance under combat conditions that had exceeded normal operational parameters for over 2 hours. Independent contractor, fuel state is now critical. We have approximately 5 minutes of station time before mandatory withdrawal to avoid fuel exhaustion. That would result in aircraft loss and elimination of precision fire support capability. Rodriguez understood that tactical success required coordination between aerial precision shooting, ground-based relief operations, and SEAL Team 12's defensive capabilities during final minutes when enemy forces retained capability to inflict casualties despite American tactical advantages. Professional military operations demanded systematic elimination of remaining threats while preventing organized withdrawal that could preserve enemy capabilities for subsequent operations. Her communication with SEAL Team 12 provided tactical coordination that enabled synchronized operations between forces that had never trained together but shared professional competence that transcended individual unit capabilities. SEAL Team 12. Recommend immediate movement toward Ranger Alpha positions while precision fire support eliminates remaining suppressive fire threats. Timing coordination is critical for successful link-up operations. Harrison acknowledged tactical instructions while coordinating movement that would expose his remaining personnel to enemy fire during final phase of engagement that had tested survival capabilities under conditions that exceeded anything in their operational experience. Precision fire support. SEAL Team 12 beginning movement in 30 seconds. Request suppressive fire on eastern machine gun position during our displacement. Rodriguez observed enemy tactical positions through her scope while calculating ammunition requirements that balanced immediate suppressive fire needs against strategic target elimination that would prevent organized enemy withdrawal with intact capabilities. Each remaining shot required precision target selection that maximized tactical impact while conserving ammunition for threats that posed greatest danger to American operations during final phase of engagement. The Barrett rifle discharged for the 18th time as Rodriguez eliminated machine gun position that was maintaining coordinated suppressive fire against SEAL Team 12's movement toward American relief forces. Professional marksmanship under extreme conditions that demonstrated technical expertise while enabling tactical coordination between separated American elements operating under contested conditions, but enemy forces demonstrated professional tactical flexibility by implementing withdrawal operations that preserved personnel and equipment while avoiding complete elimination. That would represent total American tactical victory. Rodriguez observed through her scope as enemy vehicles began coordinated movement toward escape routes that would allow organizational survival despite tactical defeat in immediate engagement. Ranger Alpha, enemy forces are beginning organized withdrawal with heavy weapons and personnel. Rodriguez transmitted while tracking vehicle movements that indicated professional military training rather than random insurgent activities. Recommend immediate pursuit operations to prevent escape that would preserve enemy capabilities for subsequent engagements. Against American forces, Major Hendricks coordinated pursuit operations while maintaining tactical security for SEAL Team 12 personnel who required immediate medical attention and ammunition resupply after 8 hours of continuous combat against numerically superior professional opposition. Precision fire support. Can you provide target designation for fleeing vehicles while we secure SEAL Team 12 and establish defensive perimeter? Rodriguez's 19th shock-disabled lead vehicle in enemy withdrawal convoy at maximum effective range for aerial precision shooting from aircraft platform that was approaching fuel exhaustion. The tactical impact prevented organized withdrawal while forcing enemy personnel to abandon heavy weapons and equipment that represented significant degradation of their operational capabilities. Lead withdrawal vehicle disabled, Rodriguez reported, while observing secondary vehicles that continued escape operations despite loss of convoy leadership and coordination equipment. Remaining vehicles are scattering toward different escape routes. Individual pursuit will be required to prevent complete organizational survival. Captain Cross announced through aircraft intercom that fuel limitations had reached critical threshold, requiring immediate withdrawal to avoid aircraft loss that would eliminate precision fire support capability. Independent contractor, we've reached minimum fuel for safe return. Departing station in 60 seconds for emergency fuel landing at nearest available airfield. Rodriguez secured her equipment while observing tactical results that indicated successful completion of mission objectives that had seemed impossible when SEAL Team 12's desperate communications first broke 4 years of imposed silence. American relief operations had prevented complete elimination of special operations personnel while degrading enemy capabilities through precision fire support that had changed tactical balance during critical engagement phases. SEAL Team 12. This is precision fire support departing station due to fuel limitations. Rodriguez transmitted during final communication with American forces whose survival had validated professional capabilities that had remained dormant during 4 years of exile. Outstanding performance under impossible circumstances. You've proven that American Special Operations Forces remain superior to any professional opposition when supported by adequate coordination and precision fire capabilities. Harrison's response carried professional gratitude that transcended normal military courtesy protocols, acknowledging tactical contribution that had enabled survival under conditions that would have resulted in complete elimination without precision fire support from aerial platforms. Precision fire support. You saved 17 American lives today and prevented enemy propaganda victory that could have affected military operations throughout the region. We don't know who you are, but you've earned the respect of every warrior who understands what professional competence means under impossible circumstances. As the C-130 departed the Kandahar Valley region, Rodriguez observed tactical aftermath through aircraft windows that revealed American relief forces establishing security perimeters while coordinating medical evacuation and intelligence gathering operations. SEAL Team 12 had survived 8 hours of professional elimination attempts, while enemy forces had suffered tactical defeat despite superior numerical and positional advantages. But most significantly, Rodriguez had proven that 4 years of exile had not degraded professional capabilities that remained essential for American military operations requiring precision, marksmanship under extreme conditions. Technical expertise combined with moral courage had enabled tactical success that vindicated professional reputation while demonstrating continued value for special operations requiring capabilities that exceeded normal military parameters. The aircraft emergency landing at a forward operating base in Kyrgyzstan provided Rodriguez with opportunity to analyze mission results while considering implications for future operations that might require similar tactical innovation under contested conditions. 19 precision shots from aerial platform had eliminated key enemy positions while enabling American relief operations that prevented strategic defeat with propaganda implications, extending throughout regions where American military influence remained contested. Master Sergeant Rivera approached Rodriguez during aircraft post-flight inspections with professional admiration that marked Experienced military personnel who recognized exceptional performance under conditions that tested both equipment and operator capabilities. Ma'am, I've been supporting special operations for 22 years, and I've never observed precision shooting that approaches what you accomplished today. Your technical expertise saved American lives while demonstrating tactical innovations that could revolutionize aerial precision fire support operations. Rodriguez acknowledged technical assessment while understanding that mission success represented personal vindication that transcended professional recognition toward redemption of military service that had been destroyed through institutional betrayal and political expedience. 4 years of exile had ended through tactical contribution that proved professional capabilities while serving American warriors whose courage under impossible circumstances represented highest qualities of military service. Captain Cross completed aircraft shutdown procedures while coordinating with base operations for fuel and maintenance support that would enable continued operations if tactical circumstances required extended precision fire support missions. Independent contractor, outstanding performance under conditions that exceeded anything in my flight experience. Your tactical expertise enabled mission success that would have been impossible through conventional military capabilities. Rodriguez understood that returning to 4 years of mountain exile would represent abandonment of professional capabilities that remained essential for American military operations requiring precision marksmanship under extreme conditions. But official involvement in military activities would expose her to governmental agencies that continued seeking her arrest for treason, charges that had never been officially withdrawn despite evidence proving her innocence of all allegations. The tactical success in supporting SEAL Team 12 operations had created strategic implications that extended far beyond individual mission completion toward broader questions about American military capabilities and institutional support for personnel whose expertise exceeded normal operational parameters. Rodriguez had proven herself under conditions that validated professional reputation while demonstrating continued value for special operations requiring exceptional marksmanship capabilities under contested conditions. 3 weeks after the Kandahar Valley engagement, Rodriguez received an encrypted message through secure channels that had remained dormant since her official death 4 years earlier. The communication originated from Colonel Jennifer Westbrook, Deputy Director of Special Operations Intelligence, whose voice carried professional satisfaction, mixed with personal vindication when she contacted Rodriguez at the small airfield in Kyrgyzstan where technical debriefings had been conducted with personnel who possessed appropriate security clearances for unconventional operations. Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, this is Colonel Westbrook. I believe we need to discuss some recent developments regarding your legal status and potential opportunities for continued service. The formal address acknowledged military rank that had been officially terminated through court-martial proceedings, but Westbrook's tone suggested institutional recognition that transcended bureaucratic complications created by 4 years of imposed exile. Rodriguez had spent 3 weeks analyzing mission results while considering implications for future operations that might require similar tactical innovation under contested conditions. The precision fire support mission had demonstrated aerial marksmanship capabilities that exceeded existing military doctrine while validating technical innovations that could revolutionize close air support operations for special operations forces operating in contested environments. Colonel Westbrook, I understand that my involvement in active military operations created legal complications despite mission success. Rodriguez replied through encrypted communication systems that protected sensitive discussions from interception by hostile intelligence services. I assume this contact relates to administrative resolution of my unofficial status rather than operational opportunities that would require official recognition. Westbrook's response indicated institutional developments that extended far beyond individual recognition towards systematic reevaluation of policies that had created injustices affecting multiple military personnel whose careers had been destroyed through political expedience and institutional corruption. Rodriguez, Marcus Kellerman, and 17 associates have been arrested following investigation that confirmed your innocence of all charges related to Colonel Mitchell's death. The evidence fabricated against you has been conclusively proven false, and your court-martial conviction has been overturned through administrative processes that restore your military status and benefits. The implications crystallized in Rodriguez's mind with emotional impact that exceeded tactical satisfaction from successful completion of combat missions. 4 years of exile had been based on institutional betrayal that had finally been addressed through legal processes that moved with bureaucratic deliberation rather than operational urgency. Professional vindication represented more than personal satisfaction. It validated American military justice systems when they functioned according to intended principles rather than political expediency. Colonel, what does restoration of military status mean for personnel who have been officially dead for 4 years? Rodriguez asked, while understanding that bureaucratic resurrection involved complexities that exceeded simple administrative corrections. I assume there are practical complications related to 4 years of non-existence in official records and civilian activities that occurred outside military jurisdiction. Westbrook's explanation revealed institutional flexibility that marked exceptional leadership, committed to correcting injustices, regardless of administrative complications. Rodriguez, your military service record has been restored with full recognition of combat achievements and professional competence. Back pay, benefits, and promotion opportunities have been calculated to reflect what your career progression would have achieved without fraudulent interruption. But more importantly, there are operational opportunities that require your specific capabilities. The tactical success in supporting SEAL Team 12 operations had attracted attention from military planners who specialized in unconventional operations requiring precision marksmanship under extreme conditions. Rodriguez's aerial precision shooting had demonstrated capabilities that exceeded existing doctrine while suggesting tactical innovations that could enhance American military effectiveness in contested environments where conventional force application remained politically constrained. We're establishing Joint Task Force Phoenix, a classified unit specializing in precision operations that require exceptional marksmanship capabilities combined with tactical innovation under non-standard conditions. Westbrook continued with professional enthusiasm that marked experienced officers who recognized opportunities to enhance military capabilities. Your technical expertise and operational experience make you ideal for leadership positions that would utilize your skills while contributing to American national security. Rodriguez understood that official return to military service would represent institutional acknowledgement that her professional capabilities remained essential for operations requiring precision marksmanship under conditions that exceeded normal military parameters. But 4 years of mountain exile had provided perspectives about institutional reliability that would affect her assessment of future military service regardless of official vindication and career opportunities. Colonel, I appreciate institutional recognition and opportunities for continued service, Rodriguez replied while calculating personal priorities that balanced professional obligations against hard-learned lessons about institutional loyalty and political reliability. But I need to consider whether official military service provides the best framework for utilizing capabilities that have been proven under unconventional circumstances. Conversation continued through encrypted channels that protected sensitive discussions about military personnel policies and operational requirements that affected national security interests. Rodriguez learned that SEAL Team 12 personnel had provided detailed testimony about precision fire support that had enabled their survival creating official documentation of tactical capabilities that had previously existed only in classified performance evaluations and combat reports. Lieutenant Commander Harrison had submitted formal recommendations that Rodriguez receive military decorations recognizing tactical contribution that had prevented strategic defeat, with propaganda implications extending throughout regions where American military influence remained contested. Professional recognition from combat veterans whose lives had been saved through precision marksmanship under extreme conditions carried weight that transcended administrative procedures and bureaucratic protocols. Rodriguez, there's something else you need to know, Westbrook added with personal satisfaction that marked individual officers who had worked to correct institutional injustices despite political complications and administrative obstacles. Captain Cross and Master Sergeant Rivera have both submitted recommendations for your inclusion in special operations units that specialize in tactical innovation under contested conditions. Your technical expertise has impressed personnel whose professional opinions carry significant influence within special operations communities. The recognition from military personnel who had observed her capabilities under combat conditions represented validation that transcended official acknowledgement toward peer acceptance within communities that maintained highest standards for professional competence and tactical innovation. Rodriguez understood that such recognition could not be achieved through administrative processes or political influence. It required demonstration of capabilities under conditions that tested both technical expertise and personal character. But Rodriguez had also learned during 4 years of exile that institutional loyalty remained secondary to personal integrity and moral courage that defined true military service regardless of official recognition or career advancement opportunities. The mountain cabin that had provided sanctuary during 4 years of imposed exile represented freedom from institutional pressures and political complications that had destroyed her military career despite professional competence and absolute dedication to American military values. Colonel Westbrook, I need time to consider institutional offers against personal priorities that have been developed during 4 years of independent operations. Rodriguez replied with professional courtesy that acknowledged opportunities while maintaining decision-making autonomy that had been earned through survival under impossible circumstances. The precision fire support mission proved that my capabilities remain valuable for American military operations, but institutional service may not represent the best framework for continued contribution to national security. Westbrook's response indicated institutional flexibility that marked exceptional leadership, committed to utilizing exceptional personnel, regardless of conventional administrative categories. Rodriguez Joint Task Force Phoenix would provide operational autonomy that exceeds normal military constraints while maintaining official status that enables coordination with conventional forces when tactical circumstances require integrated operations. You would have authority to select missions, personnel, and equipment that optimize your tactical capabilities. The offer represented institutional recognition that Rodriguez's capabilities exceeded normal military parameters while acknowledging that exceptional personnel required exceptional operational frameworks that balanced official coordination with tactical autonomy. But Rodriguez understood that accepting official military status would expose her to political pressures and institutional complications that had previously resulted in professional destruction despite technical competence and absolute dedication to mission completion. After extensive consideration that balanced institutional opportunities against personal priorities developed through 4 years of independent operations, Rodriguez made decision that reflected lessons learned through survival under impossible circumstances, combined with tactical success that had validated professional capabilities under extreme conditions. Professional competence remained secondary to moral courage and personal integrity that define true military service regardless of official recognition or institutional affiliation. Colonel Westbrook, I will accept consultant status that enables coordination with American military operations while maintaining operational independence that has proven effective under unconventional circumstances. Rodriguez replied with professional decision-making that balanced institutional needs against personal priorities that had been proven through tactical success under impossible conditions. Precision marksmanship capabilities will remain available for American military operations requiring exceptional technical expertise, but institutional independence will be maintained. To prevent political complications that could compromise operational effectiveness, the arrangement represented institutional innovation that acknowledged exceptional personnel required exceptional operational frameworks that optimize tactical capabilities while maintaining flexibility necessary for unconventional operations under contested conditions. Rodriguez would provide precision marksmanship support for American military operations while maintaining independence that protected her from institutional pressures and political complications that had previously resulted in professional destruction. 6 months later, Rodriguez established Mountain Precision Solutions, a specialized consulting firm that provided precision marksmanship training and tactical support for American military operations requiring exceptional capabilities under extreme conditions. The company operated from facilities in Montana that combined advanced training capabilities with operational security that protected personnel and methods from compromise by hostile intelligence services. Lieutenant Commander Harrison, now promoted to commander following successful leadership under impossible circumstances, became the first military officer to complete advanced aerial precision shooting training that incorporated tactical innovations developed during the Kandahar Valley engagement. His professional assessment confirmed that Rodriguez's techniques represented revolutionary advancement in precision marksmanship capabilities that could enhance American military effectiveness in contested environments. Ma'am, your training program has fundamentally changed how our special operations forces approach precision shooting under extreme conditions. Harrison reported during graduation ceremonies that marked successful completion of advanced marksmanship training by 12 special operations personnel. The techniques developed during our rescue operation have applications that extend throughout military operations requiring precision fire support under contested conditions. Rodriguez observed graduation ceremonies with professional satisfaction that reflected successful transition from institutional military service toward independent operations that utilized exceptional capabilities for American national security without bureaucratic constraints that had previously resulted in professional destruction. Technical expertise combined with operational independence had created framework for continued contribution to military operations while maintaining personal integrity and moral courage that defined true service regardless of official recognition. The woman who had been branded a traitor and forced into 4 years of exile had proven through tactical success under impossible circumstances that professional competence and moral courage remained more valuable than institutional loyalty when American lives depended on exceptional performance under extreme conditions. Rodriguez had disappeared forever from official military records, but her capabilities would continue serving American warriors whose courage under impossible circumstances represented the highest qualities of military service that transcended individual recognition or institutional affiliation. Up next, you've got 2 more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out.